Hi guys, welcome back to Clockwork Noodles. We are back for another fantastic episode of To Your Eternity. Before we get going, make sure you guys are subscribed because I just released my midway review. In this review, I tell you guys my top 3 OPs, EDs, and where I'm standing so far this season for ranking anime, which is an interesting one because it's quite the quiet season compared to last season's. Go ahead and make sure you go and check out that video and see what I think about this season in particular. There's also a Discord channel too for you to get a notification to your phone whenever videos go up. Now, we are back in the realm of dark trauma, and this week's episode could have got really dark really quick, and we're going to talk about it. Let's talk about it. Before we get going as well, I'm so relieved they confirmed it was Hayase, because when I was saying Hayase for a few weeks without actually remembering what her name was, I was so worried. I was like, I was remembering this correct, right? She's definitely called Hayase. No, she really is. She is called Hayase. We also get a fantastic reminder of how beautiful the full orchestral version of the main theme really is, because our little wrap-up, our little review section at the beginning, led by our narrator who we haven't seen for a while, or Black Thing if you want to call him that, catches us all up, but we also get to hear the main theme playing. The main theme really is a fantastic piece of orchestral music. It really does just build up the sad. It's beautiful, it's sad, it sounds sorrowful, but it also has the power to rise up. It's a song which flows up and down like waves. Hayase is confirmed the new leader. And this week we confirm one of my big worries. I think a few weeks ago I tried to predict her movements and what she was trying to gain. So I was trying to work out Hayase's motivation. This week she confirmed one of my motivations. She wants to own Fushi. Fushi is going to be hers. She basically sees people as items, commodities, something that she can own or she can dispose of whenever they're boring to her. And we've seen this throughout, her just killing March off like there was nothing there, killing off Perona like there's nothing else there. She is a cold, a calculating, and a very scary force to be reckoned with. She basically is our main focus of this week's breakdown, to talk about Hayase and the villain she has become, and some of the advancements this week for ideas of potential motivation for her. I've got a few more ideas this week as well. Now, the story that Hayase decides to rehash for the purpose of the village on the island, everything. This made my blood boil so much because it was just lies after lies after lies. Like, this is my Fushi, I saved him. No, you didn't save him. March saved him. All Hayase did was cause him trauma and experiment on him again and again, stabbing him repeatedly to find out, if he really was immortal. And the fact that she calls him a monster as well is just horrible. The entire sequence is just very painful to watch as she gets the vast support of the islanders on her side. Declares that the island must help her protect Fushi, which in the meantime is a good thing. We do want our boy protected, and it kind of plays into our wants a bit further down the line, but it goes horrifically wrong. A lot of things happen this week as well. She does as well ask the island to help Fushi defeat the Knockers. This again plays into our favour, but it just comes at such a high cost. We need the Knockers defeated. And the next tease of the next week's episode, we definitely need some help to get the Knockers down because they're coming back fast. But Fushi is now proclaimed essentially a deity or a saviour in the eyes of the island. However, even deities have owners, it would seem, and Fushi is still at the chain of his master, that is Hayase. It's essentially the worst outcome here, with him really having no freedom anymore and belonging to Hayase, the one person we just don't want. Tonari is then pronounced the new ruler, which is a very interesting decision she makes, because Hayase essentially just needs Fushi. She really just wants Fushi. I do believe she will be returning to her kingdom at some point with Fushi. But for the time being, her labelling Tonari as the leader, the new ruler, allows Tonari to become the target of everybody's anger or their hatred. A clever scapegoat or a diversion to just divert from the fact that if you don't trust me, you'll trust Tonari, and then Tonari is about to make a very hard decision. And this is, of course, the moment where Hayase ascends to take her role as a villain with an army. We have finally got her ascending this week. They're ascending the ranks. She was a villain. She's always a very well-written villain that I really hated. And that's the point. A piece of writing is good when you physically feel something for a villain or a character. Tribute to how good the writing is. I hate Hayase. I think she's a horrible character. And that is all thanks to how well she is written as a character. Now, the music at this point, when she is proclaiming that they fight for her, it is martial, it is drum-like, it's warlike. We have just ascended into having an army on our hands. The music is very, very clever. It's always something I like to tune into because the music in this anime is so special. It does a lot. It sets scenes, it carries over moods. It also sometimes gives us the information via music and the way that they stylize it. This week, I definitely find myself admiring Tonari a lot more. I know she wasn't my favourite character up until this point, but this week, Tonari definitely rose up in my ranks, in my books, and I was definitely rooting for her as I saw her trying to overcome the impossible, trying to come and save Fushi no matter what. Now, let's talk about Fushi's inner safe haven before things get disgustingly dark. I found it quite interesting that at the table of Fushi's mind, we are missing Piran. We don't even have Gugu there, but we do have Gugu's brother, even though they didn't spend too much time with each other. I think the crossover period of Gugu dying and Fushi leaving must have been about 2 weeks at the most. But it's a very interesting way it is set up. It's the idea that he's come into his safe space in his head, and these are his family. This is what is left of his family at the table talking to him. We get to see the inner thoughts of Fushi at his safe space. What is plaguing him the most? The fact that he says, I am immortal, but I have no achievements. Which is where we have the family around him trying to comfort him, trying to tell him, you have come so far. You really are so far, further than you even think. You have achieved things. The scene is a muted white. We have a white haze covering everything. And this is just to show you that this is the subconscious. This is not part of the real world. Things that are going on are essentially within Fushi's head. There is no way out of the haze. The haze is just there to show you we're within something. It's metaphysical. Now, Hayase, wow, she finds a way to get everywhere, doesn't she? She shows her unwelcomed face even within the safe haven of Fushi's inner thoughts. He really can't escape her, and things are about to get very, very ugly indeed. I believe the fact as well that she appears like she does is because Fushi really can't escape her, even inside his head. She is a force to be reckoned with, and now that she owns him, she is everywhere, every part of him, and this is what I think also leads to the very gross sequence of Hayase licking his face and essentially trying to go all octopus on our boy. It's this display of power, this vulgar display of power. Gonna reference a few bands here. It's the idea of ownership. He is nothing more than her plaything, and plaything in the dark sense here, because everything starts to get very, very twisted as Hayase tries to force herself upon an unconscious Fushi, which maybe gives us an idea of what she's trying to achieve. Perhaps she is trying to make herself this martyr of her kingdom by getting pregnant with an immortal child, perhaps. This is what I'm thinking. So I had to think about what it was. It wasn't just a display of power, because we've seen that already with the simple licking. This went further than that. Thankfully, we are saved by the Tonari. The sequence thankfully stopped from getting any darker than it really needed to get. However, we have a bit of a feign. We feign the fact that Tonari and the others are too late and they end up surrounded. So it's a nice little sequence now because things suddenly feel like there is no hope. We're already facing a very hopeless situation. And then this happens and it feels even more hopeless. We do see Hayase continuing to murder the innocent. I believe that owl was dead. Apparently the owl is not dead. Really did look dead when it took a bow to the face or whatever. The scene is shifted by Fushi's new talent. This is something that even I wasn't expecting. Fushi somehow was able to take out his consciousness, his own being, and leave behind the boy form on the bed. So he was able to abandon a form, whether it would have essentially just been a dead body, and I feel like she would have known if the body was completely dead in front of her, because she was pretty close to him. But it's a new talent that I believe is going to give him room to do interesting things in the future. And then we see Fushi's ultimate sacrifice. So in the end, he ends up saying, you let these guys go, I will stay, which is the worst thing because I feel for poor Fushi. You're going to get subjugated to something very, very dark if you stay, my boy. 700 people are allowed to leave for freedom, and Tonari, being our stand-in leader, has to make that very hard decision. And she makes a decision which does make discontent rise, but it is a wise decision of allowing the children who have done nothing, who are there to suffer for eternity of their entire lives. She allows them to go for freedom. You are deserving of a new life, a new chance. You haven't even had a life because you've been stuck here on this jail island. It is a fantastic decision, but it all comes at such a high cost of our boy's sacrifice. Poor Fushi. However, once again, plot twists ahoy, everybody ends up being sedated. Poor Fushi gets carted off to a hole in the ground, but we do get to see that Tonari seems very unaffected by the drug, which is interesting. I do wonder if they're gonna explain this, because she gets knocked out for about 5 minutes. There's definitely something else behind that. Maybe she's got a resilience to the drug, perhaps, who knows. But the most surprising thing of the entire episode, that owl is unharmed. I'm pretty sure we saw it get point blank arrow to the body. The owl definitely looked dead in my eyes, but the owl is completely unharmed. Maybe there's something going on here, perhaps. Now the music changes now to a positive as we enter our final little section. It is a positive, it's ongoing, it surges forward, we've got piano, it is fantastic. Tonari's decision to go back and save Fushi, she has decided to take her story into her own hands, and just leaving Fushi on the island just didn't sit well with her. Didn't sit well with me either, so I am so happy to see that she's going back. Last week I did say seeing Fushi declaring death upon Hayase could have possibly put Tonari off Fushi, just for even a little bit. But it seems that it was actually the complete reverse of what I was worried about. Her seeing Fushi declaring "I will kill you" to Hayase actually ended up motivating her to help, because to her suddenly Fushi became more human. The idea of hatred, these more negative emotions, these are what makes a human being a human being. Suddenly, Fushi saying, "I won't stand up for this. I will kill you for this. This is unforgivable." He becomes human. He becomes more human to everybody around him, not just an immortal being. He himself has found something that he refuses to even accept. He refuses to accept that just killing Perona was okay, because it's not. We definitely had a episode full of twists, turns, and it got very dark very, very quickly. I'm very interested to see where we're going, but I am also quite concerned. We have 3 episodes left. We are nearly there, guys. We've nearly hit the cutoff point. The first season is nearly over. So what's going to happen in 3 episodes? It does seem like at some point we have the Knockers coming back next week. I think the final episode is going to have this showdown with Hayase. I think Hayase is our big bad for season 1. It's going to be interesting to see how events play out. I think Tonari has to die before the end of season 1 as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that occurs, what happens, and what the overall outcome is. Is Fushi ever going to meet up with Piran, who is waiting for him at the docks? I really hope so, because that is such a nice thing to say to him as she's leaving. She believes that he will be following her. He will come and find a way to get to her. It's very interesting to see where that goes. It has been another fantastic episode of the story that is building very, very slowly. Where are we going? Where's it going to end? Is it going to end positive? Are we going to end on a horrific, heartbreaking scene at the end? And we're going to cry for how many years until they make a second one? If they make a second one. I really hope we get a second season for this. So thank you guys once more for joining me. It is Trauma Monday. I hope you guys are feeling okay. I feel grossed out. I feel really, really grossed out right now. Have a good day, guys. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.